Have you ever sat down at your kitchen table, looked at your pill organizer, and thought, how did I end up on so many medications? Maybe you've even wondered, are all of these really helping me? Or are they doing more harm than good? You're not alone. If you're over 60, chances are you've got at least a few prescriptions filling up that bathroom cabinet. One for blood pressure, maybe another for cholesterol, something to help you sleep, and one or two for those little aches and pains that just seem to hang around. And while modern medicine has brought us a lot of good, let's be clear on that, it's also led to something many people don't talk about enough, the hidden dangers of certain medications, especially when we take them for years, even decades, without questioning if they're still right for us. Now, let me be clear from the very beginning, this isn't about throwing away your medications or ignoring your doctor's advice. Not at all. What we're talking about here is awareness, being informed, asking the right questions, and most importantly, knowing that you have a say in your own health. Because sometimes, the medications that are supposed to help us live longer, healthier lives, can quietly chip away at our quality of life. Even worse, they can shorten it. So today, we're diving into something important, 6 common medications that could be doing more harm than good, especially as we get older. Some of these might surprise you. And if you're currently taking one of them, don't panic. This is about starting a conversation with yourself and maybe even with your doctor, so you can take back control over your health and your future. Let's start with a big one. A medication that millions of people over 60 take without a second thought, proton pump inhibitors, or PPIs. These are the drugs you might know as Nexium, Prilosec, or Prevacid. If you've ever had acid reflux, heartburn, or a sour stomach, there's a good chance your doctor handed you a prescription for one of these. And at first, they feel like a miracle. No more burning in the chest. No more acid creeping up your throat at night. Problem solved, right? But here's where it gets tricky. These medications were originally designed to be used short-term, just a few weeks to heal the lining of the stomach or esophagus. But what's happened is, many people end up taking them for years. Sometimes even decades. And that's where the problems begin. You see, stomach acid isn't just a nuisance. It's actually essential for breaking down food, absorbing nutrients, and keeping bad bacteria at bay. When we shut that acid down for too long, we start running into trouble. Vitamin B12 deficiency, magnesium loss, increased risk of fractures because your body isn't absorbing calcium like it should. Even kidney damage and dementia have been linked to long-term PPI use. And get this, there's growing research showing that people who take PPIs long-term have a higher risk of early death. That's not a scare tactic. That's science. But the good news is, it's often avoidable. Many cases of acid reflux are triggered by diet, weight, or lifestyle habits that can be changed. Simple things, like eating smaller meals, avoiding late-night snacks, or sleeping with your head slightly elevated. Even cutting back on certain trigger foods like coffee or chocolate can make a big difference. And if you've been on a PPI for a while, it's worth having a conversation with your doctor about whether it's still necessary or if there's a safer alternative. Now let's talk about another class of drugs that seems almost innocent, antihistamines. I'm not just talking about the allergy pills we take during springtime. I mean the kind that are often slipped into sleep aids or cold medicines. You might see them listed as diphenhydramine or chlorpheniramine, more commonly known as Benadryl or NyQuil. Here's the thing. These medications are known as first-generation antihistamines. And while they're effective at making you sleepy or drying up a runny nose, they can also have some serious side effects, especially for older adults. You might notice a little drowsiness the next day, maybe a fuzzy memory, or feeling off in a way you can't quite describe. But over time, these symptoms can get worse. There's a real concern that long-term use of these antihistamines can contribute to cognitive decline. In fact, some studies suggest that regularly using them, especially for sleep, may increase the risk of developing dementia. And that's a price no one wants to pay for a good night's rest. So what can you do instead? Start by checking the labels of your over-the-counter meds. If you see diphenhydramine listed as an active ingredient, ask yourself if you really need it. If it's a sleep issue, try building a stronger bedtime routine instead of reaching for the pills. Dim the lights an hour before bed, turn off the TV, maybe sip some chamomile tea or read a light book. Melatonin can also be helpful, and it's often safer in small doses. But again, it's about finding out what's right for you. Alright, now I want to touch on something that's become almost automatic for many people once they hit a certain age: statins. These are the cholesterol-lowering medications you've probably heard of: Lipitor, Crestor, Zocor. Doctors prescribe them like candy, especially if you've had heart problems or your LDL cholesterol is a bit high. And yes, they've helped a lot of people avoid heart attacks and strokes. But like everything, it's not one size fits all. What many people don't realize is that statins can come with side effects, some of which might quietly creep up on you. Muscle pain, weakness, fatigue, even memory problems in some cases. And for people over 75, the benefits of statins become less clear, especially if you've never had a heart event. In fact, for some older adults, the side effects might outweigh the benefits altogether. Here's something worth thinking about. Imagine you've been feeling more tired than usual, your legs feel heavy when you walk, and you're just not as sharp as you used to be. You might think, well, I'm just getting older. But what if part of that aging is actually being caused, or worsened, by a medication? That's why it's so important to revisit your medications regularly, especially as your body and health change. Ask your doctor, do I still need this? Is this doing more harm than good? Are there safer options now? Because you deserve to feel your age, not 10 or 20 years older because of a pill you've been told to take forever. It's not about blaming the medication or the doctor. It's about being proactive. Being a partner in your care. Knowing that you're allowed to ask questions, push back, and make choices based on what's best for your life, not just a lab result on a piece of paper. So, now that we've looked at a few of the most common medications that can quietly sap your energy, your memory, or even shorten your lifespan, you might be wondering, if those 3 are already so common, what else might I be taking that could be a problem? And honestly, it's a smart question. Because sometimes, the medications that seem the most harmless are the ones that deserve a second look. Take, for example, a class of drugs that a lot of people have used for pain, stiffness, or those little everyday aches: non-steroidal anti-inflammatory drugs, or NSAIDs. Sounds like a mouthful, I know. But you probably know them better by names like ibuprofen or naproxen, Advil, Motrin, Aleve. They're over the counter, easy to grab, and they work. That's the dangerous part. They work just well enough that we don't stop to think about what they're really doing inside the body. For someone in their 30s or 40s, popping the occasional Advil probably won't cause much trouble. But once you're over 60, your body isn't quite the same. Your kidneys don't filter as efficiently. Your stomach lining is more delicate. Your heart might already be under a bit of strain. And that's where NSAIDs can become risky. Long-term use, or even regular short-term use, can increase the chance of serious problems like stomach ulcers, internal bleeding, kidney damage, and even heart attacks or strokes. Yes, heart attacks. Even if you've never had one before. It's especially dangerous if you're already on medications for high blood pressure or if you've had heart problems in the past. And here's something a lot of people don't realize: some of these NSAIDs can also interfere with blood pressure medications, making them less effective. So you're taking one pill to lower your blood pressure, and another that could be raising it again. It's like fighting against yourself and not even knowing it. Now, I get it. When you're dealing with sore knees, a stiff back, or that nagging shoulder pain from years ago, reaching for a pain reliever feels like the simplest fix. But there are safer ways to manage chronic pain, especially as you get older. Physical therapy, gentle movement like walking or stretching, warm compresses, or even alternatives like turmeric supplements or topical creams can often reduce inflammation without the gut punch to your health. And again, it's not about fear. It's about choice. If you knew that taking a certain painkiller every day could slowly damage your kidneys or raise your risk of heart failure, wouldn't you want to at least know there might be a better way? Now let's switch gears and talk about something that affects so many people as they get older: anxiety, depression, or sleep issues. And the medications that often come with those. I'm talking specifically about benzodiazepines. They've got names like Xanax, Ativan, Valium, Klonopin. Maybe you've taken one before, or you know someone who has. At first, these drugs can feel like a lifesaver. They calm your nerves, help you sleep, smooth over those feelings of overwhelm that can come out of nowhere, especially during big life changes like retirement, grief, or health scares. But here's what many people don't hear when they're handed that prescription: these medications are not meant for long-term use. When taken regularly, especially over months or years, benzodiazepines can lead to a whole host of issues: confusion, memory problems, falls, and even dependence. That's right. Your body can become so used to having the drug that it doesn't feel quite right without it. You might feel shaky, anxious, or foggy if you try to stop. And that's not a failure on your part, it's how the drug works. And the scary part? Long-term use in older adults has been strongly linked to a higher risk of dementia. Not to mention falls, which, as you probably know, can be life-changing after 60. One bad fall can mean months of recovery, or worse. If you've been on a benzodiazepine for a while, I want you to hear this clearly: you're not alone, and it's not your fault. You did what you needed to do to feel better at the time. But now might be the time to talk to your doctor about whether tapering off, slowly and safely, could be right for you. There are other ways to manage anxiety and sleep. Sometimes even short-term therapy, mindfulness practices, or safer medications can work just as well without the long-term risks. And now, speaking of managing mood or energy, there's one more category of medications we have to talk about: anticholinergic drugs. Now, that's a fancy term, I know. But what matters is what they do. These medications block a certain chemical in your brain called acetylcholine. And acetylcholine is really important for memory, learning, focus, pretty much everything we associate with staying sharp and clear-headed. Here's where it gets tricky. Anticholinergics are hiding in so many medications, especially over-the-counter ones. Allergy meds, sleep aids, some antidepressants, even medications for overactive bladder. You might not even realize you're taking one. But the more you do, and the longer you take them, the greater the risk for confusion, brain fog, and even, yes, again, dementia. And let's be honest, it's already hard enough keeping track of things as we get older. Why take something that can quietly dull your thinking, your memory, and your spark? Now, I'm not here to say that all of these medications are bad. That's not the message. Every medication has a place, and there are times when the benefits do outweigh the risks. But what I am saying, what I want to make really clear, is that you have more power than you think. You're allowed to ask questions. You're allowed to bring a list of your meds to your doctor and say, which ones are still helping me? Which ones could I try stopping? You're allowed to want clarity. Because these pills, they shouldn't be the reason you feel foggy, weak, or older than you really are. Think of your medications like guests in your home. Some are welcome and helpful. Others might have outstayed their welcome. And it's okay to kindly, gently show them the door, with your doctor's help, of course. You've made it this far in life with wisdom, resilience, and a whole lot of strength. You deserve to feel your best. You deserve to wake up in the morning feeling like you, not like someone whose spark has been dulled by a handful of pills taken out of habit. Let's take a deep breath here. I know this has been a lot to think about. It's not easy to hear that something you've trusted, something you've taken every day, sometimes for years, might actually be holding you back. But here's the thing, recognizing it doesn't mean you've done anything wrong. It means you're paying attention. And that matters more than you know. There's one more class of medications I want to talk about before we wrap this up. And it's one that might surprise you: diabetes medications. Now wait, before you panic, I'm not saying these drugs aren't helpful. In fact, for many people, they've been life-saving. But like all medications, the type you're on and how your body responds to it matters. One of the older drugs that's still commonly prescribed is called glyburide. It's a type of sulfonylurea. It works by forcing your pancreas to pump out more insulin, which helps lower blood sugar. Sounds good, right? The problem is, in older adults, it can sometimes work too well. It can drop your blood sugar so low that you feel dizzy, confused, shaky, or worse, you pass out. These sudden drops, known as hypoglycemia, can be dangerous. And for older adults, that danger multiplies. Falls, confusion, even car accidents have happened because of unexpected blood sugar crashes. What's more, newer medications are often safer and just as effective, sometimes even more so. They help manage blood sugar without the same risk of those scary lows. So if you're still on an older drug like glyburide, or you've been having strange symptoms that seem to come and go, sweating, lightheadedness, feeling suddenly out of it, it might be worth asking your doctor if your medication could be the reason. Because stable blood sugar means stable energy, stable thinking, and a safer, healthier you. And all of this really comes back to one key idea: you are not stuck. You're not stuck with the medications you were prescribed 10 years ago. You're not stuck feeling tired, foggy, or fragile just because that's what happens when you get older. Aging doesn't mean giving up control. In fact, it's the perfect time to take it back. Your health isn't just about lab numbers or test results. It's about how you feel day to day. Are you waking up with energy? Are you thinking clearly? Are you moving the way you want to move, doing the things that make you happy, spending time with people you love? That's what really matters. And if something, anything, is getting in the way of that, it deserves a second look. So what can you do, starting today? First, go through your medications. Just look at them. See what you're taking. You don't need to be a pharmacist. Just take note of what's there, especially anything you've been taking for years without a change. Jot down any side effects you've been feeling lately, things like fatigue, memory issues, balance problems, or anything that's felt off, even if it seems small. Next, bring that list to your next appointment and ask your doctor or pharmacist, gently but firmly, if everything you're on is still necessary. You don't have to make demands. Just ask questions. Could any of these be reduced or stopped? Are there safer alternatives? Are there lifestyle changes I could try instead? A good provider will appreciate your interest in your own well-being. You're not being difficult, you're being informed. And finally, trust yourself. You've lived a full life. You've learned what works for you and what doesn't. If something feels wrong, don't ignore it just because a bottle says prescription. You know your body. You know your rhythms. You know when something's not right. That voice inside you? The one whispering that you don't feel quite like yourself anymore? Listen to it. Because here's the beautiful truth: it's never too late to feel better. We often think of aging as this slow decline we're supposed to accept. But in reality, so much of how we feel in our 60s, 70s, and beyond isn't just about age, it's about how we care for ourselves. And sometimes, the best care we can give is simply paying attention. Listening to our bodies. Asking better questions. And being open to the idea that things can improve. Maybe you'll cut back on a medication that's been dulling your memory. Maybe you'll find a gentler way to manage pain. Maybe you'll sleep better, feel clearer, walk steadier. These aren't pipe dreams, they're real possibilities. And you deserve every single one of them. So if this conversation has sparked something in you, if you're feeling more curious, more empowered, even just a little more hopeful, hold on to that. Let it be the beginning of something good. A new chapter. A shift in how you care for your mind and body, one small choice at a time. And hey, if you've had experience with any of these medications, if you've felt better after stopping something, or if you've got questions you've been holding onto, drop them in the comments below. This is a space for sharing, learning, supporting one another. Your story might help someone else take that first step toward better health. If you found this video helpful, Give it a thumbs up so more people like you can find it too. And if you want more guidance on aging well, staying sharp, and living fully, hit that subscribe button and join our community. We're all in this together. And most of all, remember this. You are not your medications. You are not your diagnosis. You are not defined by what's on a prescription pad. You are you, wise, capable, and still writing your story. So here's to clarity. Here's to strength. Here's to living your best life at any age. We'll see you next time.